Tonight, on To the Point. The Democratic National Convention underway in Chicago. President Biden getting ready to take the stage. We'll take you there live. Plus, the security concerns tonight as protesters already break down a barrier. New details, a 2-year-old boy found dead inside a car in Folsom.
Can't even wrap my head around what it must be like waking up this morning and your baby boy not there.
And operations suspended tonight as a Fair Oaks-based tiny home company closes its doors. What's next for clients, contractors, and franchisees involved?
Good evening. Thanks for joining us on To the Point. I'm Alex Bell, and tonight in Your Voice, Your Vote, we are live at the Democratic National Convention and speaking with political analysts. Many politicians from California already spoke on day one of the convention, and California has sent nearly 500 delegates to Chicago for the DNC, and tonight's convention theme is For the People. Just moments ago, Vice President Kamala Harris came on stage giving thanks to Joe Biden. Hillary Clinton is also about to speak, and President Joe Biden and First Lady Dr. Jill Biden are expected to speak tonight. They toured the convention center just hours ago, and ABC's Christian Cordero joins us from the convention floor tonight live with more on how his speech and how the Trump-Vance campaign is countering the DNC this week. Good evening.
Hey there, Alex. Good evening to you. You know, that appearance from Vice President Kamala Harris was a total surprise. It played after the video montage that we've seen run on television and on social media about, with a Beyonce song Freedom underneath it. And then she walked on stage and totally captivated the room. There is not, from what I can tell, very many empty seats here in United Center Arena. And then at the end of the night, we know, as you mentioned, that President Joe Biden is set to deliver the keynote address. Almost 1 month to the day since ending his re-election campaign, President Joe Biden arriving in Chicago, not as the nominee, but taking the stage tonight, speaking to a newly energized Democratic base at the party's national convention. Thousands of people are in Chicago, including the two at the top of the ticket.
We get an opportunity tonight to say a thank you to the best president of my lifetime.
The DNC's Monday theme is dubbed For the People, a phrase the president used in his primetime speech explaining why he's dropping out. Each night will have its own theme and celebrity host, kicking off with actor Tony Goldwyn, who played President Fitzgerald Grant on ABC's Scandal. Outside of Chicago, Trump and Vance plan to crisscross the country, holding events in key battleground states. Over the past few weeks on the campaign trail, the former president has struggled to stick to the issues, often resorting to personal insults. This week, Trump vows to focus on safety, immigration, and the economy during the tour.
Everyone was better off when you had a gentleman named President Donald J. Trump at the helm. Does anybody know him?
Both Trump and Vance's first stop this week, Pennsylvania.
Kamala, if you really, really want to bring American manufacturing back to this country, might I suggest you vote for Donald J. Trump?
Harris and Walz also stopped in Pennsylvania this weekend en route to the DNC. The dynamics of the election have shifted, with Harris bringing new energy and momentum for her party. Still, she insists her campaign is the underdog.
We have a lot of work to do to earn the vote of the American people.
So a few speakers we haven't heard from yet, but expect to include First Lady Dr. Jill Biden, Georgia Senator Raphael Warnock, and Hillary Clinton. And just a few moments ago, we heard from a notable Californian. That's Golden State Warriors head coach Steve Kerr. Alex, back to you.
And we also know that there's a lot of excitement around Kamala Harris and Walz's campaign. What is the atmosphere like inside the convention right now?
It's hard to imagine that it would have felt like this 1 month ago, right? Because 1 month ago, President Joe Biden was at the top of the ticket, and it was a real question of what the DNC was going to look like, even with the virtual roll call. This is, for all intents and purposes, very ceremonial because she is already the nominee. But you can feel the electricity in here, and it will be interesting to see how that evolves through the course of the week. She's set to give her acceptance speech on Thursday.
And we know there have been reports of protests outside of the convention today. Have these led to any increased security measures? And are you seeing any protests inside the convention tonight?
We haven't seen anything significant inside the convention yet, but it is such an important point, Alex, because she certainly does still have gaps to fill, bridges to build among a very vocal voter base that says, that they need to see changes in the administration when it comes specifically to the administration's policy with Israel and the war in Gaza. And so we have seen protests outside today. There was a barricade that was breached, but it does seem like that was a relatively small corner of the protests, and the protests themselves have been planned and organized in tandem with officials here.
And delegates have already done the virtual roll call for Harris. Do you think there will be any surprising moments during tomorrow's delegate count?
I think there will be surprising moments, but we'll see how that actually manifests. We saw some of the rehearsals, and I will say, as far as the theatrics go, it's pretty cool. I don't want to give away any secrets because it'll be worth watching. But I think there's two things to kind of balance here. One is the historic gravity of the moment. First woman of color as the nominee, and so there will be personal touches there that you can expect throughout the night. But when it comes to the protests, there are a number of uncommitted votes and delegates that are here representing those votes. And so whether that manifests tomorrow night, we'll have to wait and see.
All right, Christian, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And we are also hearing from political strategists tonight about how the convention could influence voters. Recent polling from ABC News and the Washington Post shows Vice President Kamala Harris leads over former President Donald Trump by 5 points among all adults. So we took this to our experts. Here's what Democratic strategist Mike Trujillo had to say about what the campaign should focus on as the election gets closer.
Well, I think we're seeing her numbers improve in virtually every demographic. We're seeing the Democratic Party as a whole coalition sort of get excited for her. I think the real one critical swing group that's still going to require a lot of attention is the Latino vote, whether that's in North Carolina, Arizona, Nevada, Georgia. We exist in virtually all the swing states.
And we also asked Republican political consultant Tab Berg about what these recent polls indicate to the Trump campaign, and here's what he had to say.
I suspect the polls are going to start reflecting who the candidate is, and she has a very, very difficult task. She has to prove that the previous 130 days she was in the lead, but yet not responsible for it.
And you can hear more political analysis and watch the DNC live right here on ABC 10. ABC News will be live tonight and tomorrow starting at 7 p.m. right after To the Point. Then on Wednesday and Thursday, live coverage will start at 6 p.m. And tonight we are learning new information about a toddler's death in Folsom. The coroner's office just identified the 2-year-old as Theo Peterson, and ABC 10's Alicia Machado has new details on what happened.
An emotional day for neighbors on Donnelly Circle in Folsom, saddened to hear of the death of a 2-year-old boy on their street.
We heard the sirens starting to come down the street. When I realized what house it was at, it was very, very scary because I knew that there were children there, and my heart just sank.
A candle and rosary placed outside his family's home Monday morning by a community member. The coroner's office identifying the 2-year-old as Theo Peterson. Folsom police say they got a 911 call around 6:45 Sunday evening for medical aid involving a 2-year-old found in a vehicle. They tell ABC 10 officers rushed to the area and began CPR, but the boy did not survive. Neighbors like Christina Robinson saddened to hear of what happened. As a parent herself, this hits close to home.
My heart goes out to them. I can't even wrap my head around what it must be like waking up this morning and your baby boy not there.
And Folsom police say that they are investigating the circumstances surrounding the toddler's death and couldn't release any additional information. The coroner's office has not released the cause of death, and it is a case that we will continue to follow. And developing in Natomas tonight, eastbound lanes near I-80 near the El Camino exit are closed after a fiery crash. This is video from around 4:30 just this afternoon. The CHP says a driver didn't see traffic ahead and collided with another car. They say that caused a chain reaction with 3 other cars that caught on fire. One person was pronounced dead at the scene. Another person was taken to the hospital, and it's not known when all lanes of I-80 will reopen. So make sure you stay with us. Still ahead, a tiny home company in Fair Oaks suspends its operations. What's next for clients, contractors, and franchises involved?
After a mild start to the week, we're tracking big changes ahead towards the end of the work week and into the weekend. Big, cold, low pressure system, chance of some summer storms and even snow.
And later, the changes coming to University of California student protests. So it's been nice out for the middle of August, but our ABC 10 weather impact team, you guys are tracking some alert changes coming this week, right?
That's right, especially by the end of the work week into the beginning of the weekend. So we're going to be breaking it down. We're tracking a couple of low pressure systems. The first one just kind of keeping us within a range of some average temperatures. It's the one behind it that's really going to be diving its way southward. Cold air, chance of showers, even thunderstorms and some snow. So this arrives Thursday into Friday. Wind, storms, and snow preparing for showers ahead by the end of the work and school week. Today we saw near average highs, 92 for downtown Sacramento, Sacramento Executive 89, low 90s for Stockton and Modesto. And that's going to put us with the longest stretch this summer below 100 degrees. We have been below that century mark since August 8th for downtown Sacramento. And we're not going to see too many changes with that. In terms of this week's forecast, in fact, cooler weather ahead. Lows tonight falling to near 60. We're right back into the low 90s for tomorrow. But as that cold low starts to drive its way southward, we'll bring in that chance for showers, mainly north of I-80. But a stray light shower not out of the question for the Sacramento area, as well as for parts of the Sierra, where we see that cold air kind of working its way in and snow level down to about 8,100 feet. Tomorrow, it's sunny, highs in the 70s for the Sierra, 80s and 90s down low, a very summer feel across the coast with highs in the 70s, 90s inland as we head through the valley. Morning lows starting off right around 60. It's our 5-day forecast that starts to feature some of those changes Friday into Saturday. Chance of showers and thunderstorms, as well as some overnight snow flurries for the mountains. We'll track those colder conditions for the foothills. Slight chance of a shower. Our 3-day forecast, we got that weather impact alert on Thursday. Colder weather, breezy as well. Chance of showers on Friday, highs in the upper 70s. And then just like that, we're back to near 100 early next week.
Wild ride there, Monica. All right, thank you so much. Still ahead on To the Point. Clients, contractors, and franchises of a Fair Oaks-based tiny home company are wondering what's next as the company closes its doors. Plus, the man accused of killing his girlfriend in the Tahoe area appears in court. The new detail in the case. Well, it's a story we first brought you on ABC 10. A Fair Oaks-based company is accused of mishandling money and leaving construction projects unfinished and many people without a paycheck. So tonight, that company is facing more legal issues. ABC 10's Jeannie Nguyen joins us in studio with developing news.
Alex, Anchored Tiny Homes made a name for itself by selling and building ADUs, but now it's making headlines as people continue to accuse the company of fraud. The state is now looking into the company as subcontractors and people who invested into a franchise of this company are making their voices heard. That's close to $100 grand. Did you ever think you'd get that money back?
That's a good question, right? Like, we're hopeful, but at the same time, you know, all we could do is just wait and see if it comes in.
These unpaid invoices are all Carlos Lubiano has left, proving he worked jobs for Anchored Tiny Homes, or ATH, and never got paid.
It's been weeks now since we've heard anything, so, you know, a little disappointing, but at the same time, we have to move forward, right?
After ABC 10 first reported on issues with ATH last month, the company's CEO has announced the company is closing and considering bankruptcy options. They were seen clearing out their Fair Oaks office on Sunday.
All of this happened in a year, or a little over a year, and these franchises were still being sold weeks ahead of the shutdown.
Peter Lagarius is an attorney representing more than 10 franchise owners across the country. News of the company's closure left these owners wondering what's next. They say Anchored Tiny Homes was just boasting about its expansion and even teasing new locations.
The last thing you would have expected is that they couldn't finish jobs and that the subcontractors were apparently not being paid and were placing liens.
ABC 10 has learned the company is also facing at least 2 lawsuits filed in Sacramento Superior Court. One case involves 2 retired Sacramento women, 68 and 77 years old. They hired ATH in July 2022 and paid nearly $344,000 on a project that is still unfinished.
The other case involves a former employee accusing ATH of wage theft. While Ligarius couldn't confirm with ABC 10 if he's working on more lawsuits on behalf of the franchise owners, he says his clients have dealt with similar issues.
Some of the franchisees were veterans, and they were enticed to enter because they get a discount for having served their country.
And Jeannie joins us now. You've been speaking to a lot of people that have reached out to us, so some great updates there. But we did hear from the Contractors State Licensing Board this afternoon. Can you tell us what information they now have on this case?
Alex, the State Licensing Board has confirmed it has opened an investigation and it's received 10 complaints on anchored tiny homes. Now, of those 10, one of them has been referred to the AG's office to look into revoking the company's contractor's license. These complaints range from failing to pay subcontractors and receiving and requesting more money than work. And Alex, I also did reach out to the CEO, Colton Paulus, for comment on this story, but I did not hear back.
All right, Jeannie, thanks for the update. We appreciate it. And you know, we will continue to follow this for you. All right, tonight, part of eastbound I-80 remains closed after a truck caught on fire. It happened near Nyack and Highway 20. CHP says a Tesla big rig hit a tree and then caught on fire. Thankfully, no one was hurt in the crash, but officials are concerned about hazardous materials due to the lithium-ion batteries. And the body of a man who jumped into the American River yesterday to help save his son has been found. The Placer County Sheriff's Office says the 38-year-old disappeared under the water near the No Hands Bridge outside of Auburn, and his son was pulled from the water and is expected to be okay. A Nevada County Coroner's Office has identified the woman found dead last week as 48-year-old Patricia Portello Wright. And Portello Wright was reported missing from Kings Beach earlier this month. Her boyfriend, Brent Clifford, was named a person of interest in her disappearance last Wednesday. Then a day later, her body was found near the Mount Rose Highway in Nevada. And Clifford was in court today for his arraignment. He is charged with murder and identity theft in Portello Wright's case. He's accused of using her bank cards to take out money. Clifford is also a person of interest in a homicide that happened in Reno, and he's expected to be back in court on September 9th. And other news tonight, former New York Congressman George Santos has pled guilty to wire fraud and identity theft in his federal fraud case. Federal prosecutors say Santos charged donor credit cards without authorization, accepted COVID-19 unemployment benefits while he was working, and used campaign money to buy designer clothes. Santos has previously admitted to lying about his education, career, and even claims that his grandparents survived the Holocaust. In December, he became the 6th lawmaker ever expelled from the House of Representatives after an ethics investigation found overwhelming evidence he broke the law. He now faces more than 6 years in prison and owes hundreds of thousands of dollars in restitution. University of California students returning to campus next month can expect some changes when it comes to encampments and protests. UC President Michael Drake today sent a letter to the UC community laying out new policies for the new school year. And one of the policies prohibits camping or encampments that block pathways or restrict free movement. Masking to conceal identity is also banned, and the letter comes after pro-Palestinian encampments and protests on several UC campuses. And in the letter, President Drake says in part, quote, "Our ultimate goal is for all of our community members to feel supported in their ability to express themselves and pursue their studies, research, patient care, and other work on campuses." Tonight in the immigration crisis, registration is now open for an estimated 500,000 spouses of U.S. citizens to gain legal status without having to leave the country. The move was granted by President Joe Biden back in June as an effort to ease immigration entry. To be eligible, spouses must have lived in the United States continuously for 10 years as of June 17, 2024, and been married by then. For several families, the announcement comes as a sense of relief.
It's a relief. It's like we've been fighting so much through these years.
Once approved, people will be able to remain in the U.S. for 3 years under presidential authority known as parole. The application costs $580 and includes the ability to apply for work authorizations, a green card, and eventually citizenship. This policy does not apply to those who have voluntarily left the country to gain the right to enter. Coming up next on To the Point, the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. President Biden about to take the stage. All right, you're taking a live look in Chicago. The Democratic National Convention is underway. Hillary Clinton speaking right now. President Biden is headlining the convention tonight. Just weeks ago, he was supposed to be the headliner of this convention, running for re-election. But since dropping out of the race, he is now headlining the first night of the convention. He is expected to highlight his legacy in the Democratic Party. And you can watch that speech right here on ABC 10. ABC News is bringing you live coverage each night of the convention, and ABC News will be live tonight and tomorrow starting at 7 p.m. right after To the Point. Then on Wednesday and Thursday, we will have live coverage starting at 6 p.m. So make sure you tune in. And that is our show tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Hey, it's Alex. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. The To The Point team and I love hearing from you, and I hope that you'll stay in touch. And don't forget, you can always email me and the team at tothepoint@abc10.com, or you can even send us a text message at 916-321-3310.